Welcome to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. Mr. Barber is a preacher, a ventriloquist, a barefoot runner, and writes 2 blogs. When Jerrie communicates, he encourages people, try not to learn very much. Find a mustard seed. In the next few minutes, try not to learn very much. Look for something you can do to move a mountain, remove a stumbling block, or provide a stepping stone for yourself or someone else. And now, here's Jerrie with this week's mustard seed.
Moses wrote in the 90th Psalm, verses 10 and 12, "The years of our life are 70, or even, by reason of strength, 80. Yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. So teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." When we go on vacation, we have a limited number of days, so we plan how we want to use our time. When we have a task to do and a deadline, we plan how to use our time to get finished. Stephen Covey and Michael Hyatt suggest writing our obituary as a good way to begin a life plan. Their idea is to take several hours and write our obituary, describe in detail what you'd like your family, friends, business associates, members of your congregation, and people in the community to say as they come to your visitation and your funeral. Describe in great detail how you were respected, competent, and kind to all people. After you finished, live every day for the rest of your life so that people can say those great things and be telling the truth. In Psalm 90, Moses said people are going to live about 70 or 80 years. That's still pretty accurate. If that's true, we could subtract from those averages and estimate about how much time we have left. What I want to do with my life from now until my exit. Moses said in this psalm that numbering our days would help us to get wisdom. One of the ways I use to practice this principle is reading the obituaries in my hometown paper each week, and notice the number of people who died who are older than me. I find that they are getting fewer and fewer, which reminds me that my days are getting fewer and fewer. Another way that's been helpful to remind me that my days are limited was planning my funeral 25 years ago. Gail and I were on a short trip. One afternoon, after we had finished some other tasks, we decided to plan our funerals. Our plan was to suggest, not control. We finished our plans and emailed them to our children. I started with a disclaimer. If any or all these requests place a hardship, mental, financial, or other, on my family or others, you have my permission and encouragement to do as you think best. I suggested that family members speak who want to, then I suggested 1 or 2 other speakers. I listed the 4 songs I would like to be sung. The next item I mentioned was the clothes I wanted to be buried in. For pallbearers, members of the family to be selected by Jerrie Wayne and Christy. Honorary pallbearers will be members of the Third Monday Workshop and other preacher friends. For distribution of household and personal items, I suggest a private sale for family before a public sale. Should there be any disagreements on how to proceed, consider Proverbs 18:18. Casting of lots causes contentions to cease and keeps the mighty apart. The next item in my plans is people to contact upon my death. I've listed family group, organizations, 15 congregations where we have served both full-time and as interims, and a number of other individuals. I provided phone numbers for a member of each of these groups. Also, I mentioned that these people can be found in my iPhone contacts. I gave Jerrie Wayne and Christy the password for my laptop and desk computer. After Gail and I made our funeral plans on January 2, 1999, we went to a funeral home to shop for caskets and to consider a prepaid plan. It was interesting that, although we looked without discussion, we both came up with the same type of casket. We listened to the presentation on the advantage of a prepaid plan. First, the family doesn't have to do that during a time of stress. Another advantage, in some plans, you could pay for your future funeral in today's dollars. I recommend you contacting a reputable financial advisor to make that decision. Gail and I decided we could better invest our money and leave it in an account for our children to use. A decision that precedes some of these details is whether you want to be buried or cremated. If you desire burial, you'll need to buy a lot in the cemetery. If cremation, you'll need to decide whether you want the ashes to be in a cemetery, scattered at some specific location, or be kept by members of the family. One of the items I had in my first document of funeral plans was what I wanted written on my tombstone. Since my first full-time work in Yorkville, Tennessee, Philippians 4:13 has been my favorite scripture. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. It occurred to me 17 years later, after planning my funeral, that the best way to get what I wanted is to do it myself, and it'd relieve my family from having to do that later. So, in the spring of March 2016, Gail and I bought our tombstone and had it set in the cemetery with Philippians 4:13 on it. I wrote a blog post on that purchase. I'll put a link in the show notes for that. I've given several details. However, my goal is not to control, but to suggest. And as I began, I end with the release. If any or all these requests place a hardship, mental, financial, or other, on my family or others, you have my permission and encouragement to do as you think best. I'm 79 years old. According to Moses, I have less time to live in the future than I've lived in the past. He said that by realizing the limitation of our days, we can get wisdom. My time is limited. How should I use it? So teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom.
Thank you for listening to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. If you found a mustard seed, send a text or email with the link to a friend. This podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Ministry League Network. Ministry League is a global platform dedicated to equipping Christians with the tools they need for ministry, worship, and personal growth. Featuring over 50 podcasts created by members of the Lord's Church, Ministry League provides uplifting and biblically sound content for all ages. Through the Ministry League app, you can access these podcasts, a digital songbook for worship, free Bible study materials, curriculum, and other ministry resources to strengthen your walk with Christ. Don't miss out on the latest updates and podcast episodes. Subscribe to the Ministry League YouTube channel for daily content and exclusive insights into the work of the Lord's Church, or visit ministryleague.com to explore what's possible. Ministry League, equipping you for every good work. Thank you for listening. Jerrie looks forward to next week as we continue to collect and plant mustard seeds.